artist crediting, and expand opportunities for creators. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Then hear us on WBOK1230.com. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Good afternoon. It is Friday, and we're here at WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. The number here is 504-582-9422. I'm your girl, Suzette Bagneris, and today I am flying solo, but I do have Wick here with me.
I was about to say, what am I, chopped meat?
No, I got Wick here with me, thank goodness. But I'm flying solo in the chair because Gerod is visiting relatives in North Carolina on the occasion of his niece's graduation. So we congratulate her and the family on this major accomplishment, and we wish him safe travels going to and coming back from North Carolina.
He's just going out there for the buffet.
Oh, that's what you think? And you see, look, and I thought today there would be no foolery because he was not here for the two of you to get into it. But hey, look, take your shot. You can take
thought
a free
wrong.
shot. Take your free shot. I am here today, and before I get into the topic of today, I do want to say that we lost a long-time listener, Dwight Dabney. When I first started coming on the air here, Dwight Dabney used to call in all the time. He was a truck driver, and he would call us on his long drives and hauls and discuss topics here on WBOK. He used to call in all the time about this 20-year-old legal battle he had going on that he wasn't getting any movement on. And he asked me to undertake that for him, and we were able to take that file over and successfully get justice for him. And he and I became friends after that. He would constantly, come on my private Facebook page and give me words of encouragement and check in, now and again. Dwight was a great father, loved his daughter dearly, talked about her all the time. And Dwight has recently lost his battle with cancer. And so I just want to hold him up in prayer today. I want to acknowledge him for all the contributions that he made to WBOK. We value our listeners, and they often do become friends. So I do send out heartfelt condolences to Dwight Dabney's family. May he rest in peace. Today, we're going to talk about an uncomfortable conversation for some people. But discomfort does not make something untrue. Today, we're going to talk about belonging, barriers, Black excellence, and the emotional exhaustion of constantly proving yourself in systems that were never truly designed for your advancement. Black people did everything that America told us to do. We have earned degrees. We have built businesses. We have built resumes. We have gained the experience, stayed professional, contributed to the culture, worked twice as hard, played by the rules, and yet many of us still find ourselves fighting for access, recognition, equity, dignity, and basic humanity. So today, let's stop pretending the issue is a lack of talent in the Black community or that we get jobs based on DEI, because we don't. We earned them. The issue is not whether Black people can compete in America. The issue is that too many systems in America were designed to guard the door and not to open it for us to have opportunity and success. And every time Black people begin to fully understand our worth, our brilliance, our history, and our power, the rules suddenly change. Districts get redrawn. Standards get moved. Requirements get shifted. Opportunities disappear. Diversity becomes controversial. And merit suddenly becomes the conversation only after Black people arrive. So today, I want to talk honestly about racial battle fatigue, double consciousness, the emotional cost of code switching, Black excellence, systemic barriers, and what it means to stop seeing ourselves through diminished eyes. This is not a victim conversation, so I don't want it to be framed that way. This is a truth conversation because despite everything this country has done to limit us, Black people continue to rise. We build, we lead, we innovate, we educate, we create, and we excel. And that truth seems to make a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's still the truth. So today, be okay, family. We're speaking truth to power. So let's talk. I'm just trying to find myself, Rick, in this place called America. British-born Black writer Zadie Smith once said, "Not belonging is akin to having the feeling one experiences while playing musical chairs, turning around and realizing that you have nowhere to sit." Abraham Maslow placed love and belonging as the third tier hierarchy needs, positioning it above survival. You cannot fully become who you are meant to be without experiencing the security of being wanted somewhere. Without belonging, the byproduct is not just feeling lonely. Without a sense of belonging, you feel unreal, unseen, unheard. It's a hard feeling when you feel like you don't belong. You're made to feel ignorant, even though you know you're intelligent. Your beauty is a scar to those who are challenged by it because they're basic. It's not that you're weird, it's just that you're wired different. Being Black in America is arguably the most documented case in Western history of a people systemically stripped of belonging. Consider the fact that at slavery, we were separated from tribe, from language, and from family. And those are the three ingredients for belonging. Being classified as property removes your ontological being as being a part of humanity. Diabolically, our oppressors understood that if a people don't know who they are, where they came from, or where they're going, they will not fight for where they are supposed to be. Can you imagine that our greatest liability as Black people, what threatens others most, is that we do know who we are, where we came from, and what we deserve? If you just didn't know what you deserve, then you just accept anything, right? You would take anything people throw at you. You would tolerate anything. You would just sit in the corner where they want you to sit, watching them thrive. But because we have acquired the understanding of self-worth as a people and our contributions that we have made to the world, there are people who are offended by the concept of our self-esteem. Dr. William Smith coined the expression racial battle fatigue, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. This term describes the cumulative distress of navigating a society that signals daily that you do not fully belong. And now we're seeing this. Now, this isn't new to us. I wish they could imagine being hung from a tree like strange fruit because you actually thought you should have the right to vote. I wish they could imagine being castrated for simply being a man. I wish they could imagine their children being auctioned off as if motherhood had no value. I wish they could imagine sending their 9, 10, or 11-year-old girl to slip into the bed of a master and you not say anything. And after you fight for freedom, and after you attain civil liberties like the right to vote, you elect a Black male president, you have Black members of Congress, enough to have a Black caucus, and you have a Black woman candidate for president. In the middle of the day, you realize they're redrawing the lines. They're changing the rules. They're redistricting because you realize that you are somebody. W.E.B. Du Bois said, you got to be careful not to adopt double consciousness. He said, It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, of measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in an amused contempt and pity of you. You cannot see your value in yourself through the eyes of a country that diminishes you. You cannot live in a cage of other people's perception. So this is what I want to rap to you about today. This is what I want to talk about. Do you feel as though you are experiencing racial battle fatigue? Is it tiring getting up every day and realizing that the goalpost is moving farther and farther away? Is it tiring getting up every day and realizing that all the gains that we've made through the civil rights movement are going away? Is it tiring recognizing that even though we have excelled, even though we've done everything we were supposed to do, we are still considered less than in this particular society? And how do we continue to move forward? What do we do if it doesn't work? If the Black pursuit of education and professionalism is being barred and blocked every time we seem to succeed? Do we have to engage in respectability politics? Do we have to code switch? Or is it true that we still just have to work twice as hard just to get half as much? The myth that inequity exists because Black people lack preparation is just not true. But I'm so tired, and I know you're tired, of getting on social media or turning on the news to see hundreds of thousands of Black people erased from corporate America. They achieved and shattered these glass ceilings, and now the whole building has come down around them. They're overqualified, now they're being overlooked, and they're having to reinvent themselves after they had already achieved what most would consider career goals. This is why many Black professionals, many Black business owners, many Black people just feel emotionally exhausted. And I hope that people who are not Black, who are listening to this radio show today, can understand why we are tired after hearing my commentary today. Because it's not a good thing to feel overqualified and undervalued. It's not a good thing to feel like the rules keep changing after you succeed and once you've arrived. It's not a good thing to think you have to change who you are to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. And what happens to a people who psychologically feel that they have to constantly pursue just belonging, just acceptance? What happens to you psychologically when you feel like you have to constantly prove that you belong? That's the question that I want to ask you. Are you experiencing that in your daily life? You know, I really think that that quote by W.B. Du Bois really hit home with me. It's a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness. I tend, and I know it's a downfall of mine, to measure myself through white institutional standards. I know I tend to always wonder why I'm not succeeding at the same level or perceived level of success as my white male counterparts. I need to get out of that mentality, and I'm going to challenge you to do that today too. We have got to stop comparing ourselves when the rules were never the same for us. You don't shrink yourself professionally. You don't have to do tone policing. You shouldn't have to do hair politics in order to fit in. You cannot build healthy self-esteem through the eyes of the people committed to misunderstanding you. I'd like to ask you today, when was the first time you realized you had to make other people comfortable to survive professionally? Am I the only one? Um, so let's talk about that today. Let's get into this concept of racial battle fatigue. I'd really like to hear your experiences and your spin on it. Call in. The number's 504-582-9422. I really want to hear about your cumulative stress of existing in racialized spaces, your exhaustion of constantly monitoring your speech, appearance, emotions, and behavior, any generational trauma that you think you've carried, any microaggressions that you've experienced in the workplace, and how you feel being the only one in rooms repeatedly. Um, I like to hear examples from Black students who've attended PWIs like myself, Black executives, Black journalists, broadcasters, and Black elected officials. Um, some Black people are not tired because they're weak. And, I thought about that when I saw Gary Carter have his moment in the Louisiana legislature where he was going back and forth with another legislator. And my first thought was, man, he's dropping the ball. He's getting himself, off this committee, and we really need him. But now I'm thinking, Black people aren't tired because they're weak. They're tired because they have been surviving emotional warfare for generations. Let's go to line one. Let's hear from Chuck. How you doing, Chuck?
Hello, sis. How are you doing? I see you holding down the fort down in the Crescent City. It's just you and Wick there in the studio. Yeah, interesting conversation, and yeah, we're seeing this happening time and time again. I imagine it is draining just seeing what's going on each day, and that's why I
Wait.
sometimes I tell them, yeah, that's why. Sometimes I look on these news networks. Each time you see that guy on there who I hate calling his name, doing the things that he's doing here, and all of that band of thieves, what they're doing, and many others, and that's what's kind of painting me. It's painful just to watch. I'm looking at we just had high school graduations, and it is just seeing what's going on, what happened not far from you in Baton Rouge. I know they're happy about graduating, but they're getting out there dancing and doing all the things. By the way, McKinley High School, the principal of McKinley had to go ahead and end the graduation. They were cutting up and telling them, they gave them warnings, and they wouldn't stop. And what happened that last time, he told them that the graduation is over, and they're telling parents to go on to your vehicles. And it's kind of, I think he's trying to send a point home to them, because the thing about it, going out into this world, what you were just talking about, they're going to have to prepare themselves, and that's what happened. And you had to ask these people. Now, even the grown-ups there, they had these graduations cutting up there. I've been seeing a lot of videos of them there fighting up in the stands, and they started wondering, are these people registered to vote? It started to hit you there, sis.
There's two ways to look at this story, and I saw two types of examples when I was preparing for today. One thought I had was, man, we've come so far, and look how hard we've gotten, and we're being disrespected, and we're being targeted. Then I also saw a story of a Black federal court judge in Atlanta, a female, who is all over social media today because she was apparently having sexual relations with a police officer in the courthouse during work hours, and the law clerks were outraged by listening to it all repeatedly. And it hit me sometimes. I don't know why. We're getting into these positions. We're working so hard to get there, and then we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Exactly. You're exactly right, and I saw that this morning. I saw a post on there, and I know this is a family show, but it just hit me and said, "Oh gosh, here it goes again." And, you're getting on this level, and then things such as these type things occur, and it just hits you. And like you say, you want to try to be in an area just like myself. I went to a Catholic school myself, just like you did. I went to St. Ferry Catholic High School in my graduating class. It was I was among 5 blacks in my graduating class in 1993. And I knew then, being a setting like that, I had to really watch what I do in those settings, because knowing what was up against. Because during that time, they had one guy. I came out in '93. This guy came out in '91. It was in '91. He was on the golf team. He couldn't even go into the. He went to the Caldwell Country Club in Columbia, Louisiana. And the McKitton family, the Governor John McKitton, his family, they're in Columbia. They were members of that club, and they wouldn't let him in. That made national news. Made national news. It hit the magazines. It was on. He was on the Home Show with Gary Collins, and Jesse Jackson was sitting there with him and his mother, and he got a lot of attention. His name was Richard Dundre Green. It was in 1991 when they let him to the Caldwell Country Club. But what happened? His teammates said, "Hey, look, if he doesn't play, we're not playing." They didn't play that golf tournament. There's always those type things, and then you're trying to get to a level of being, you say acceptance, and then you're still dealing with these type things. I didn't mean to go long.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm just saying, I think there's two sides of this. One is we're doing all the right things. We're working hard. We're climbing the ladder. We're building businesses. We're getting to these places that our ancestors only dreamed of getting to.
Yes.
And then the other edge of that is, are we bringing ourselves down? Sometimes we are. Sometimes they're targeting us, and sometimes we're making ourselves a target. And then are we thinking about the ramifications of what our actions do to other people trying to get where we are? So, that was very disappointing to see that story about that judge and see it, making national news. Yeah, I saw it this morning, and it's very unfortunate. And of course, they framed it as an Obama-appointed federal judge.
I saw that they put his name in the middle.
Absolutely, when he had absolutely nothing to do with it. But at the same time, though, there's a lot of stress existing in a racialized space like that sister is in.
2026.
Yeah, but she had to know that she had to work 10 times harder, and that the microscope was on her even more than her colleagues. So I think we still need to be mindful of that when we are existing in those spaces. But, tell me, have you experienced, Chuck, living where you live in northern Louisiana, this experience of working as hard as you can, but still feeling like other in some spaces, and still feeling like you need to work 10 times harder just to get respected equally?
Oh yeah, it happens even in these workplaces. I've been in, people they put some people that might not even have the experience that you have, and they go and they put them in those positions, and you might be working there for years, but they're going and put that person ahead of you, saying that, hey, look, you find out about this person that this person's white. They don't even have that much experience.
Absolutely.
Those things have occurred. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're all kind of experiencing, particularly now, when all of these bills are going up in the legislature in Baton Rouge, and all these things are changing on a national level, and we feel targeted. I think we're all kind of feeling some of this racial battle fatigue.
Oh, we sure are, and I hear your music. You all have a great weekend, and have fun and be safe wherever you all go.
Thank you for calling in, Chuck.
All right, you all take care.
We'll be right back.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of the Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter: politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org, heart of the city.
Looking for a great deal on your next phone? Come see us at your locally owned AT&T store for the latest Samsung and iPhones. Visit us at 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. We have great offers on watches, tablets, accessories, and internet service. Whatever your connectivity needs are, our team is here to help you keep connected. Visit us today at AT&T, 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. Locally owned and proudly giving back to the community. The Ron Kelly Show. Real talk, bold truth. Tune in for your weekly dose of unapologetic conversations that don't dodge the truth or dilute the message. Stay informed on the issues that matter most on The Ron Kelly Show, every Monday at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And we're back. Today we're talking about racial battle fatigue. Let's hear from Ms. Deirdre. How you doing?
Hey, Miss Suzette, how are you? This is Deidre.
I'm doing fine, Deidre. So how you doing? And tell me, how are you dealing with this racial battle fatigue that we're all
I've been
kind
on
of
this journey
experiencing?
so long, Jesus. I can't even be nowhere to begin. Let's start with childhood. Let's start with we lived on Orchard Street. The white people lived across the street. We lived on one side, okay? So I was used to seeing them, but I never really mixed with them. So we were the first class to integrate Sophie B. Wright. I never changed who I was, and I always spoke truth to power because my mother was like that. She was a rebel. They were like the first blacks hired at Boeing, miss you, and how dare those colored people get those kinds of jobs. So when my mom and them did, it's about 6 of them, maybe 7, they went to work and they had notebooks. So they would write down, Suzette came to work like 20 minutes late, stayed at the water cooler for 2 hours, then went to lunch, came back at 4 o'clock, and she had on a blue dress that day. So when they went to court to sue for racial discrimination, not only did they get their jobs back, they got raises, and nobody effed with them anymore. So then you send me off to be one of the first people to integrate Sophie B. Wright. And why was I always in trouble, always getting suspended? Because I'm not going to let you play in my face. Because what they did was the first year, they only let the 7th graders integrate. And it wasn't until the year Martin Luther King got killed, the next year when I was in 8th grade, then the whole school integrated. When needless to say, it was white flight, and they left. So now, after high school and college, I teach at a predominantly white school, Walter G. Schneckenberger. Well, you know that was fun because this is the time we are putting little dots by the names of schools in these lily white neighborhoods. And because federal law, the Dandridge law, is that what I think it is? We had to be placed at certain schools. So here I am going into the suburbs for the first time, a girl from the city, going into the suburbs, and where I found out for the first time they serve quiche. That's an actual dish. That's an actual thing made of eggs. So I'm in there and every day. Not a day passed. We didn't have micro and macro aggressions with the principal and her lily white staff because, of course, we had teachers, but nobody was in a position of what? Being an administrator. We had a long way to go before we get to that. And then when we get to that, we're going to choose some very careful Negroes who are not going to step out of their place because they like living where they live and driving what they drive. So I left that school and went to another school in another suburb that was predominantly white, and that was a battle royale. Because every day then I would get written up, but you never could write me up on teaching because you would say out of your own mouth, excellent teacher, but her mouth, because I'm going to tell you, you're circling my name for being tardy, but here's the white lady right with me at the same time, and you forgot to put a red circle around her name. It's things like that. So I can't act and talk about what happens if you had to code switch because I never did.
But Deidre, having gone through all of that,
did.
having lived through all of that, in all of those spaces, dealing with all those microaggressions and having to constantly stand in your truth and talk truth to power in those spaces is very exhausting.
It is very tiring. There was a time because you know what happens with us. It's only 5 of us, like I said, at the school. So what are the other 4 black people going to do? Distance themselves. So you find yourself alone. Now, when we out in the public or whatever, when we off campus, oh hey, Deanna, how you doing? And
Right.
then in the little private, we need her, yeah, because she says stuff we want to say, but we scared to say it. What are you scared of? We ever use
Exactly.
you? I'm
But
not saying anything illegal. I'm not saying anything untoward.
but
And I
having
don't lie on you
overcome
for you're with you.
having overcome in all of those spaces, Deidre, where you were able to stand in your truth and not code switch, and
Not
having
code
seen
switch.
all the gains that we have made, how are you feeling now
Oh,
watching
I'm
the
very
hands of
disheartened.
time turn back?
I am very disheartened because what happened is we fought long and hard for these rights. And I don't want to have to go back. It's like when you go to the grocery store and then you left that most important ingredient you went to the grocery store for and you got to go back. I don't want to go back. I want to proceed ahead. So now if I got to go back and wipe this up, then that's going to keep me from making the next progression to go even further because I got to go back and redo what is already done. Okay? When we go to vote and these new black folks who too black to vote really work on my nerves because you are falling right into MAGA's cult. You know, you're not voting, and if it was not important, they would not spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week working on that. So we have a supermajority Republican legislature who has just decided to take away your voting rights. And they say, oh, you still have the right to vote, but you don't have the right to vote for who you choose to vote for. Therein lies the difference. And it makes me sick. And I'm aggravated because I'm too old to be out here in the streets marching again. So
Look,
what we
and
need
I
to do
think
is
that
go smarter.
I think of
We
a
need to
lot of
go
the people in
smarter.
our generation are feeling that way, Deidre, where we're tired. We would
We're
like to see
tired.
some other people fight with us. These younger
Yeah,
people get
but
the energy to fight for us
well, first we got
because
to get
we're
their mind
tired.
right. We got to get them convinced that voting and being a part of the system actually works. Somebody challenged me the other day. Well, the Muslims. I said I love the Muslims. I love my bow tie wearing, bean pie eating people. But what are their receipts? Martin Luther King had receipts. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act. I'm just saying.
So I got a question for you. You coined a very interesting phrase. Now, I feel like I know exactly what you mean, but I want you to explain what you mean by too black to vote.
Oh, yeah. Because, see, I'm too black to vote because, see, the white man is not supposed to do anything for you. This is you doing for yourself. Voting so that you can have a voice in what is going on in this world. And thinking that you can come outside the system, that's like you standing outside my house and want to make rules for what goes on in my house. That's not going to work, baby. You got to be in the house and work this thing from within. You cannot stand outside the system, which encompasses everything and everybody, and think you're going to make value change. Like I say, Martin Luther King had receipts. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act. What lost those receipts is you not going to the poll because you done decided you too black to vote because you're going to hold back your vote because who are you hurting? You're not hurting the white man because they go vote. I don't care if it's raining dog poop. They'll bring an umbrella.
I think that
They
is
have been
such
working on erasing you since the 70s. They ain't just got on this bandwagon. They don't mind playing long ball. If I vote for you, I want a brand new car, a house on St. Charles Avenue, and money in the bank for one vote. And then you think because you voted, everything's supposed to go your way. It takes time. It takes progression. You're going to go up 2 steps, you're going to fall back 3. But you got to stay on the battlefield.
Every election, I hear other black people and see them post on social media that they're not voting because voting doesn't matter and voting doesn't work for them and none of these elected officials do anything
I hear
for
that all the
them.
time, and that's why I'm saying to you, you're absolutely correct. Voting doesn't matter. This is why white people stay up all night long thinking on ways for you not to vote. See, they're always at the table. That's why you always on the menu. You never at the table. You need to be at the table. And then putting the vote in the box puts you at the table because now you get to decide. But now your decision is going to be altered because what? You have sat back and been apathetic and not gotten out and did your due diligence to vote and sit and make your voice heard. This is why, and I know there's not just black people in New Orleans. What's going on with you people in Tensall Parish, Monroe, St. Mary? Y'all don't know where the voting polls at? Why are you so afraid to go out? We need all hands on deck. See this recall? Everybody needs to be in a little bit of that because you know where that data center going to be? Bet it ain't going to be around St. Charles Avenue. Bet it ain't going to be around the pristine places like at St. George and Baton Rouge. Bet it's not gonna be there. What you want? Guess where it's gonna be? Like I say, you ain't at the table. You stays on the menu.
And that's an excellent point, Deidre. And you know, I knew what you meant when you said that.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
one of the things that really annoyed me about the last presidential election, the last gubernatorial
Mm.
election, the
But
last
she not
mayor's
really black.
election.
She not. You see, 'cause she Indian, and she, you know, 'cause well, guess what? The white man from Germany knows how to destroy. Is that working out for your farmers? What
No.
about you beef people who are out now? What going out of barbecue places are closing? Why? Because the cost of beef. Well, go down there and get some of that Argentinian beef. See how that's gonna work out for you. All you farmers who you said close, because see, you voted for racism. I don't go with that. Oh, they voted because of the prices. They don't give a damn about no prices being high. They gladly pay it. They wanted racism. They didn't realize what the racism would cost them. Didn't know that it would cost you your family farm that's been in your family how long, baby? 6, 7 generations. Oh, damn. I love that life you voted for yourself. How
Yeah.
you got rid of you said, China, G ain't buying nothing.
I
Okay?
hope that
Nothing.
people are
So
now
you
starting
black
to
farmers, you
see.
white farmers, all of y'all who was put on that one thing, we don't want no woman in there. Well, guess what? The woman ain't in there. The man is. How you liking it now?
Right. I hope they're all
Mm-hmm.
starting to see now, these people who were
Oh, I hope
apathetic
so.
to voting, that not voting has put us in a horrible situation.
Horrible.
And I
I don't do
hope they're
no
learning.
politics. You don't have to do politics, baby. Politics does you every day. Politics determines where you work, rest, and play.
Well, I think you made an excellent point, and I hope people really embrace that term and not be too black to vote.
I swear. I swear, Suzette. You have a great
You
weekend.
too. Have a good one.
Tell
Thank
G
you for
wherever he
calling
is,
in.
I say hi.
I
All right,
sure
baby.
will.
Later.
Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. T-Bone, how you doing today?
Good evening. How you doing, counselor?
I am
Thanks for
doing
letting me
well.
through, Wick. Let me make y'all laugh right quick. Why, as soon as I went to Academy to get some worms to go fishing, it go raining on me as soon as I walk back out, y'all. Why? Why?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
but
Are you feeling this black fatigue? Are you feeling this racial battle fatigue that we're going through
well,
right now? And what you think
yeah,
is the
yeah.
solution?
I'm gonna tell you why I feel it. I feel it on both ends. See the two black thing that was just mentioned. You have black folks that are sitting up there proud to say that they're conservative, but they're not looking at the issues that are not getting addressed for them. Now, don't get me wrong. If I can make it to middle class or upper middle class, if it's in his will, yeah, I want certain things. However, when you see that they're doing it like an HOA in a neighborhood, oh, well, I don't like the color of your house, or I don't like that satellite dish being seen. It offends me. See, they always change the placing of the goalposts every time you kicking it through. You kicking it through clean. You're kicking it from 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards. They go move it. They go move it. It used to be that if you had a bachelor's degree in this field that I'm in, it was enough. It used to be if you had this certification was enough. It used to be if you had 3 certifications. You understand? They keep changing it. And yes, I'm in a field that's predominantly white male. You understand? That's where the fatigue comes in. Because how many ways do I have to prove that I belong here? Just because technology might have started with some white folks doesn't mean that white folks are the only ones supposed to be in it. Just because this country prides itself on the white farmer doesn't mean that they don't have black farmers. Just because some of the precedences of the government was written by the founding fathers, who was a bunch of white lawyers, inventors, whatever, doesn't mean black lawyers like yourself shouldn't exist.
And I'll give you
Learning
another
is a human experience.
I'll
It's
give you
not
another
a racial
example.
experience.
Let me give you another example of the goalpost moving. Okay?
Mm.
Because we had so many black people who were getting degrees in nursing and becoming nurse practitioners and nurse anesthesiologists and social workers and public health experts and physician's assistants and physical therapists and occupational therapists who were getting degrees in engineering and business. Now the Trump administration is saying those are no longer considered professional degrees.
Yeah.
All of those are now considered non-professional degrees. That's just another example of the goalposts continuing to move.
And what degree does he have, might I ask? None.
Right.
His people, his sons and them, think about this a second, folks. You have somebody who does not have a degree, couldn't graduate from college without somebody giving him a honorary degree, telling you as an educated person or a person that's trying to better themselves through education, your degree doesn't matter.
Right. Under the one big beautiful bill enacted by this Trump administration, graduate students and those kinds of programs are now classified as non-professional degrees, and they have caps on what they can get in student loans. So because there's too many of us were going into these professions, now all of a sudden these are non-professional degrees. That causes racial battle fatigue when the goalpost consistently gets moved.
Yeah. And here's the sad part. Are you ready for this? Because some of our own people, just like the last caller said, does not want to vote, does not believe we can go back to those times, refuses to believe that racism still exists in this country. They don't want to do anything about what's being done. They don't want to believe that these types of things are being done by this administration. You can talk about Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and you can talk about Clarence, Uncle Tom Thomas. But you do have people who are not in the spotlight, your shade and darker, that are still sitting up there with the same mindset, proud to call themselves conservatives. To me, a black conservative, a black staunch conservative makes about as much sense as a black gay conservative. Because they don't like you. That's right, I said it. They don't like you. And they're not trying to protect your rights. They don't care about you. They are going to the cigar bar with people like them. Traditional, heterosexual, white males who have the girl off in the corner for them to mess with later on. That's right, I said it, girl. You understand? Whether she's my shade or their shade. In the corner for them to mess with later on. If you're a father listening to this, how can you justify wanting a pedophile to be in the White House? How can you justify somebody for all of this criminal sexual behavior in the White House and say, oh, I'm going to vote for the conservative side? See, and I honestly don't like the political name calling, but that's what they call themselves. I really don't. I'm an independent. I hate it when people try to call me a liberal. I hate it when they think I'm a Democrat, because I'm not. See, I turned away from the Democrats long ago because I realized that they were not doing as much as they claim. And just like with these past few elections, they don't do enough to pander for the black vote. They didn't do enough for the Latino vote either, to tell the truth. That's really what happened. They just assumed. They called the man a fascist 100 times. They called him a dictator 100 times. Blacks would not vote for him. But the truth of the matter is, Black folks got tired of the Democratic speak long ago and them assuming that they were going to have our vote. We do want them to address our black issues, just like Tavis Smiley says. But if you're not coming to talk to us, if you're not really following words with actions, what are you doing? Honestly, why should I register as a Democrat right now because I'm a black man? Why? Who are you putting in front of me that's going to represent me in my community? A Southern man that's black, that has lived in a state that has been low income for as long as I can remember, that does not want to change its mindset in terms of diversifying its economy, in terms of upgrading its education. Instead of upgrade, we're downgrading, folks. We are closing schools.
And hospitals.
Hospitals. Banks don't stay here. Credit unions spring up and then close out. Restaurants. This is supposed to be the food capital of the South. Restaurants don't last in this city. Think about this a second. I just named major marks of commerce that should be changing our community, that should be brought up, that should help the community itself to get into economic independence. Think about that.
You've given us a lot to think about, T-Bone. You've given us a lot to think about. Look,
I always try to, but here's the thing. I'm fatigued from arguing this point because the people that's voting or not voting for the Smiths don't listen.
Well, if we don't get on the same page and get some of these MAGA conservatives out of office, we're going to continue to lose our civil rights. So we got to get on the same page somehow.
I end up calling this program because I at least voice it when I come here. But when you put it online, these people just won't listen.
Right. Well, thank you,
Or
T-Bone.
in person, they won't listen.
Thank you for calling
y'all
in.
have a good weekend.
I
Thank y'all.
appreciate you.
All right.
We'll be right back.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
This is The Law and Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
If you had $1 million, would you leave it to an 18-year-old?
Hopefully not, but that's exactly what can happen with a simple will. The money goes straight to your kids when they hit the legal age, no guardrails.
A trust lets you control when and how they receive their inheritance. You can set ages, milestones, or even make sure they finish school first.
Give them security, not a spending spree.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation presents Louisiana Cajun Zydeco Festival. 2 days of nonstop dancing and rhythmic sounds of Southwest Louisiana, Saturday, March 30th and Sunday, March 31st at the George and Joyce Ween Jazz and Heritage Center. Don't miss musical performances by Big Nathan and the Zydeco Cha-Chas, Chubby Carrier and the Bayou Swamp Band, Donna Angel and the Zydeco Posse, and much more. Doors open at 2 p.m. and music begins at 3. This event is free and open to the public. For more information, visit CajunZydecofest.com.
When you talk, we listen. WBOK. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And we're back. Welcome back. It's WBOK 1230 AM. Talk line number is 504-582-9422. Let's hear from Miss Audrey on line 1. Miss Audrey, you have built a very successful black business. As an entrepreneur, have you experienced the goalposts being moved and obstacles in getting contracts?
Okay, I want to answer this by saying to you, I listen to you so often. Not that anything is wrong with Gerard or any of them. I was listening before you came on. But just forgive me for saying it this way. You're a bad bitch. You are I'm telling you, you're educated, knowledgeable, I mean, sophisticated. There's so many things that I can say about you. And you need to also find your niche in this political world because I'm telling you, you could do great things. Great
I
things.
thank you, Miss Audrey. And look, I really do thank WBOK for giving me this opportunity to come on the air and discuss these issues with the public. Believe it or not, this is my outlet from my job, which is stressful. I come here and it means a lot to me to be able to talk about issues that I think are meaningful to my community. And hopefully, we know we have a broad base of listeners that extend beyond our own Black community. I'm hoping that I'm also educating them to maybe see things from our perspective that maybe they had not considered before. So, I think it's important to try to convey to people a different perspective than what maybe they thought we were.
Well, I want to throw something else in there. There's something else that you haven't addressed, and it's a very sticky issue, but I have really, for at least the last couple of months, debated on whether or not to talk with you and on the air about this situation.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, the situation is family. All right, the family, number one, I am 74 years old. I have watched the family just disintegrate. And part of it is because the Black man no longer wants the dark-skinned woman when he gets ahead. The other part is there's that aggressive, every now and then, there's that really aggressive white man that really loves that Black woman and goes after her. And what it's doing is diluting the race also. And it's diluting the race for a very different reason. It's not because Mr. Charlie could just go in and do what he wants. These are choices that we're making. We're not strong anymore when it comes to the family. And that has a lot to do with race. It has a lot to do with politics and the strength of the Black family. I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm not sorry for saying it, but it's so much the truth. For 44 years, I was with the same person. And for 44 years, we worked like little animals because they wanted you to have nothing. You had to hide the car you were driving, hide the house you were living in, not want anybody to know. Yes, I have experienced so much racism. My father, and I never understood what my father meant. He said, in this world, well, first of all, he made all of us go vote, made us when we turned 18. And he said, I'm so glad I'm going and you all are coming because it's too much. It's just getting to be too much. And I used to say, what in the world does he mean? But it's true. I look at my child now because, my daughter committed suicide. And so I have a child now. And I have two grandchildren. I look at them, and this is a sorry, forgive me, but this is a sorry-ass world that they are coming into. And no matter what they do, they may not succeed in it. But let's go back to the Black male. The Black male has contributed greatly to the disenfranchisement of something called the FAMILY. I'm from St. Francisville, let me say that, really racist. I watch white men no matter what happened, no matter how many little Black kids they had, because we understood, all the little light-skinned kids in the neighborhood or in that area, we knew what had happened. But no matter how many, he stayed with that family. He stayed with that family. And I was determined. When I tell you determined, I was determined to keep my family going. And my situation happened when I was 65 years old. And I was saying to myself, I'm staying here. I'm staying here no matter what goes on, because I'm not going to break this first-generation family that has fought so hard to get where we've gotten. We end up spending millions tearing each other apart. But all of that I'm saying is this. You still have the person that you were with 20 years ago. You still don't respect the F-A-M-I-L-Y. And sometimes F-A-M-I-L-Y does not mean L-O-V-E. It means R-E, what did Aretha Franklin say?
Respect.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Okay? That's what it means. And some of our brothers are forgetting about that. They're walking away from their kids. They don't want to give their kids their name. How can we be strong? How can we grow strong politically when we're not strong as a family? Now, I hear some of these guys that come on, and it's some of the same ones every week over and over. And those old guys, I hear them. They love family. They love their kids. I mean, they just, when they talk, I'm just excited. And I'm not saying, Suzette, listen to me carefully. I'm not saying that there's not going to be divorce, and I'm not saying that, things are not going to keep that marriage together, but have that respect for each other, where you can continue to make your young man and your young woman see what it's all about, see what that family is all about. Fight, fight, fight. That is one of our main issues as a race. You look at, somebody was talking about the Indians before. Look at these people. They stay together regardless. They have respect for each other regardless, like it or not. There are some issues that don't even come up in the family, not going to come up in the family. When we start doing this and let our children see, because, my mom and dad, my husband, mom and dad, no matter what, they stayed together. So we had the mold. It was broken by us, okay? But when are we and what are we going to do about this situation? And don't forget what I said earlier. You're marrying somebody because of the color of their skin and because of the hair and all of this, and not for what you really, really love and what's best for, I just put it like this, all concerned. I'm angry. I'm so angry that I have too much to tell you. I've waited too long, but no matter what, I'm going to try to get off here and just say you a bad girl.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Audrey. I appreciate you calling, and we're going to unpack a lot of the things that you just laid down in a minute. We're coming right back.
Campus of Xavier University.
Look.
WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former First Lady Dr. Jill Biden says she feared her husband was having a stroke during his pivotal 2024 debate performance.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the
In a new interview with CBS News, she recalled being frightened as then President Joe Biden struggled through the event. The Obama Foundation is unveiling plans for the grand opening of the Obama Presidential Center. The celebration runs June 19 through the 21st on Chicago's South Side, featuring live performances, family activities, art, food, and storytelling. The Obama Foundation is a nonprofit collaborator of the Black Information Network. And Queen Latifah is teasing new music after a 16-year album hiatus, saying she's got plenty of unreleased tracks across multiple genres. Get BIN News now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back. This is your girl, Suzette Bagnaris. I'm at WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. The talk line is 504-582-9422. Call us up. Tell us what you think. Are you going through racial battle fatigue? You know, Miss Audrey just dropped a lot of issues on us. And at the top of the show, I did talk about, are we being attacked? Are we being victimized? Are we being devalued? Or are we tearing ourselves down? Are we part of our own problem? And one of the things that Miss Audrey brought up is she has watched the disintegration of the Black family over her lifetime. She expressly stated, it appears that the Black man no longer wants the Black woman, and the Black woman no longer wants the Black man. She specifically talked about the strength of the Black family and how we need it to survive. I also want to point out, you know, one of the things she talked about is being penalized for Black excellence and success. I've experienced that in my own world, and a lot of the criticism doesn't just come from white people when they perceive that you have climbed the ladder and you're successful. It comes from your own people too, who want to know how you got there, why you got there. You know, I do want to say that I do too know that when I was coming up, grandparents, I didn't know anybody's grandparents who were divorced. They were still together. As I was coming up as a teenager, as a older child in elementary school, I did start seeing my classmates' parents start to be divorced. As an adult, my own parents got divorced. No matter what the age is, I think when you see your parents split, it has a detrimental effect on you as a child of divorce, and it does fracture the entire family. And sometimes a family can survive that fracture, and sometimes they can't. Now, to this question of whether Black men, once they reach a certain stature, they no longer want Black women, I can say the same is true of Black women. I have many Black friends who are wealthy Black women who no longer want to date Black men because they feel like they're being treated better by white men. Now, whether or not that's true, that's what they say their experience is in dating. And is that causing us a greater divide and more disenfranchisement as a people, that we can't seem to see the value in ourselves and the value in each other? Let's go to Tony on line 2. Tony, what do you think? Weigh in.
Hey, this is Tony from Algiers. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. Thank you for allowing me on this afternoon. You know, what you're talking about has touched my soul so much, and I thought it was just me. You know, to see everything that both your callers, what Mr. Gerod just said, the caller before him, I'm just so troubled now as a Black man, or us as a Black people, of what's going on in this country, what's going on in this world, and things that just seems to be closing in on us, you know? And of course, I'm a God-fearing man. I pray but you're right. I am feeling very low about what's been going on with us as a people. I see the same thing as your previous callers just said about the divide even amongst our own people. Our own people don't understand what's going on. You know, in the mornings, I throw newspapers. You know how many new people, black folks who get newspaper on my route? It's very little black folks on my route who gets the newspapers. By my saying that, it's not only the newspaper. They don't know what's going on. They're not looking at the news. The bombs could be dropping down from Iran, and they wouldn't care. They wouldn't know. And then they'll blame other people about it. Well, how come we didn't know this? How come we didn't know that? How come we don't know? Because, you know, you are not educating yourself on what's going on. You rather party, you rather smoke, you rather drink. You know, and you don't know what's going on in the world and what's going on around us. And it's very, very frustrating to me. You know, I was a registered Democrat for years. But when Jeff Landry became governor, and he didn't even have to have a debate. He didn't have to say a word. And only 27%, 22% of black folks voted.
Very low voter turnout among black people. And what I was hearing from black people is that they were not going to, quote unquote, waste their vote on a black candidate. Now, that says a lot about how we view ourselves as a people when we think that a vote for a black person is a wasted vote.
Exactly right. And that's not fair, and that's not accurate. You know, we have to stand together as a people, okay? And if that's the biggest hurdle amongst us, we don't stand together at all. It's too much a divide. It's much more divide than it was back in the 50s and the 60s. You know, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. My family participated in those civil rights events that went on in Birmingham. And, you know, I mean, most of them are gone now. A majority of all of them are gone now, you know, and it was up to us to see this thing through to make sure we don't regress back into what things were. But it's happening all over the southern states. I finally heard from the NAACP. We finally heard that they wanted this. I said, this would really work if everyone was on board. And that is not to have our black athletes participate in these southern state sports. But how can you do that when they're throwing millions of dollars at an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old to come to their school, or their family pressures for them to go? If we were able to have some way to do something that we can have the upper hand with, you know, to me right now, that's it. If we able to turn away from doing their sports, from doing their events, saying we just not participating in these endeavors anymore until we are treated equally. Until some of this stuff is done. That's what I would love to see. It's just so much I want to say. But anyway, when that came down with the governor and stuff like that, do you know that I went on my Go Vote app and changed myself from Democrat to independent? So I'm under the new independents.
We've been hearing a lot of that from black callers, that they're changing their status from Democrat or from Republican to independent. That's becoming a trend on the radio station, people calling in to say that. I think we need to do a whole show dedicated to that. But tell me why you decided to change your affiliation to independent. What gain do you think you're going to have by doing that?
No gains at all, but I was like the last caller before the lady was saying that the Democratic Party and everything else has continued to deteriorate through the years. We have no national leader. You know what I'm saying? Jesse Jackson passed away, but he was old. So was Al Sharpton. The closest one we have to that is President Obama. And he is being silenced. He's even being silenced. So we have no national leader in the Democratic Party. So
do you think there's one as an independent?
Independent.
Is there an independent leader that you're an independent party leader that you are thinking is a better choice?
No, but I want to see what other options we have out there other than Democrats. We have independent party leaders and everything else. I would like to look at them as well.
Well,
I'm looking at the best person who is going to be best for the future of us,
right?
For our future as well. Our futures are intertwined. They don't understand that. Republicans and stuff, they're trying to bring it back to the old ways, and they're jumping on board with that. They're jumping on board with that. I can't. It's mind-boggling. So I've been very, very frustrated and doing a lot of soul searching. So.
Well, I think we're all frustrated.
I
think we're all frustrated. I think we're all doing a lot of soul searching. I know that I'm feeling the weight of it. I feel very low. I feel very heavy about it. I walked into a committee meeting on a huge case where I should have been elated. I mean, we just settled a case for over $100 million. It has not been publicized yet. Will come out soon. And when I walked into the room, everybody is elated. I'm the only one who looks like me in this room. And everybody's saying, oh, man, how was your weekend? Oh, I'm about to go to Italy. I'm about to buy this car. I just bought this. I just bought that. I'm doing this, that, and the other. They're talking about the achievements of their kids. And somebody finally turns to me because they realize I'm not speaking. And they say, well, Suzette, how are you? And I normally I just say, oh, I'm great. Things are great, going fine. Instead, I said, I'm a black woman in Trump's America. That's all I said.
The whole room got quiet, didn't it?
The whole
room got quiet, didn't it?
The whole room got quiet because I just felt a need to let them know everybody is not experiencing the joy of existing right now. Everybody is not able to focus on going to Italy for a month. Everybody is not talking about the newest electric Porsche they just bought. Some of us in America are hurting right now. Really hurting, really feeling disenfranchised, really feeling disconnected. Really feeling like no matter how hard we work, our black self-esteem itself is threatening to other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really feeling that we need to maybe go back to a point where we are doing our own thing and not affiliated with them and building our own and finding our own sense of belonging amongst our own community and our own identity and our own community.
That's what we need to happen at this gesture. I just have no idea how to get that done and who's on board with wanting to do that.
And that's how I'm feeling, Tony. I feel like if you don't really want me at your table, I'm going to build my own table. And it may be harder for me to build it, but I think at this point, I'm going to build it. I'm going to take my coins.
We need to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to take my coins that I just made at the table with you, and I'm going to go and build my own because I'm tired of having to show you that I deserve to be here. And I'm tired of having
my worth.
Right. And I'm tired of giving my all to be told at the end of the day my work is valued less because I'm black, because I'm a woman.
Exactly.
I'm tired of it. I really do feel this racial fatigue. And no matter how individually successful I may feel, I feel the weight of community right now. I just feel like I'm not really thriving if my community is not thriving.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm not going to paint the picture anymore that it's all good. Normally I walk into these spaces and everybody's talking about, all they talk about in those spaces with white men at the table is the cars they own, the houses they own, the places they travel, the ex-wives, the current wives, and the mistresses.
Because they're not affected by any of this stuff. They're not affected by gas prices.
Yes.
What's this work for? They're wealthy anyway.
Their identities are not being challenged daily. Okay? I feel punch drunk right now.
Yeah.
And
I do too.
I felt a need to express that this week to them. And the looks on their faces was just shock. You know
you got me triggered.
What?
They have no idea what you're talking about, Suzette. They have no idea.
You got me triggered.
I got you triggered.
I'm triggered.
Wick said I got him triggered.
Because I'm sitting there and I'm, talking to my wife and I'm discussing what we're discussing with her. And why did we want to be integrated so goddamn bad? We were better off when we were segregated. We had our own banks, our own money, our own businesses. We spent money in our own communities and gave all that up for what? For what?
I'm starting to
what
think
what can we do about it? Can we see about getting that back or making some kind of progress to it? We need to do something. We need to do something.
Well,
that to let them know, to put them on notice about us. Now they're talking about the recall, right? They're already talking about next week. They're going to spend all this money. They already control the airwaves. That's where none of our Democratic candidates can get on to talk on TV and things like that because the Republicans have bought up all the spots. Nobody knows what Democrats are doing.
You know what? This is just like modern day slavery. Back in the days when the white man got finished with the pig, he gave us the scraps. He's still giving us the goddamn scraps.
He's still giving us scraps.
Absolutely, and that's my experience even at the level that I play the game. Okay?
Yes,
I mean, I'm playing the game high stakes, negotiating $100 million cases. Okay? That's high stakes poker, all right? But even at that table, I'm still being given the scraps, and that's the hard reality of the situation. And I no longer want to put on the face like, okay, everything's good here. Everything's not good here.
Nope.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And you know what?
No, man.
A prime example of getting the scraps: New Orleans East.
Yes.
New Orleans East was a beautiful, thriving place at one time. We had everything we needed out there. Katrina destroyed it for us, and because we didn't want to sell our property out to them white men in uptown New Orleans and Audubon Place, they're throwing us the scraps out there. Oh, we're going to give you this. We're going to dangle this in front of you. But screw you, we're not going to give it to you.
We're not going to give it to you.
Let me get up. I'm going to sign off because I'm real triggered, and I'm about to really let loose on and say something I'm not supposed to say.
Sir, if I'm still alive, I appreciate you and everything else, because I am just this blown away and frustrated, and I don't think it's as many of us who needs to feel that way. For us to be able to do, what can we do?
Well, Tony, I felt this way this week, and I knew I had this opportunity today to talk about it, and I just knew I wasn't alone in feeling the way I feel now in America.
No.
And in this particular state and in this particular city right now.
Right.
Right. I'm happy that we're having this conversation today so that we can see that we do connect on an issue. And the issue that we are connecting on is forced disconnection.
Right. And I just don't know what we can do to remedy, because all it is for us with everybody else on the radio is just talk. Right now we just airing out frustration, but nothing is going to be done.
Well,
what can we do?
Hopefully people are recognizing hopefully there is a political awakening going on across America where people are realizing that sitting elections out and having voter apathy is putting us back, turning back the hand of time on civil rights. Hopefully there's a political awakening going on. I'm also hoping there is an entrepreneurial awakening going on, and I think I'm seeing it. I think I'm seeing all of these black people who were fired from corporate America during this Trump administration. I see a lot of them starting their own businesses right now. So what may come of corporate America cleaning house on black people is a bunch of black business being born. That might be the start to going back to what we're talking about, where we had our own. Because what I'm seeing on social media, particularly on Threads, is 300,000 black women who were shuttered out of corporate America, who are redefining themselves, recreating themselves, and creating new businesses. That might be the start of a business revolution in the black community. And I'm hoping that it will be. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to use this time of adversity to do something positive with it that's going to benefit the black community. But thank you for calling in, Tony. I do appreciate the call. I'm going to go to line 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, let's hear from line 3. How you doing today?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, this is Shedrick calling,
you want me to say
counselor.
hello, Purple? Wick said for me to say hello, Purple.
Hey, listen, and I tell you, this show is very important. While we continue to talk, these people are implementing. Counselor, you know that we've been talking for years now about certain things, and they have come to pass.
Yes.
Just like Minister Farrakhan, whether you like him or not, for decades have been saying certain things, and now it has come to pass. Yesterday, Minister Willie Muhammad of the local mosque he wrote a post about, he's concerned about how the first black female mayor, the first black female sheriff, how they both are indicted, and pretty much how something is fishy about that. And he touched upon how many black people had something to do with it. At some point, we got to stop. Before there can be an explosion, unfortunately, we have to have an implosion within us. Because right now, while you're fighting other folk, you got some of your own stabbing you in the back.
You can say that again. I went to a meeting this morning on a very high-profile issue. And as Gerod and I were standing in the room, we were wondering how many spooks at the door we had in the room. How many people were going to go back and tell it? How many people were going to jeopardize the plane? And everybody in the room looked like us. So we are imploding. And how do we stop it? How do we stop the implosion? How do we stop people who, in the interest of their own climb, socioeconomic climb, are willing to push other black people down?
You know, Counselor, that's a hell of a post for all of us. How do we stop the hemorrhaging when it's within?
Right. That could be a whole show in and of itself, Shed. Because I do see a lot of that.
If we ain't together.
A lot of these opinions coming from the U.S. Supreme Court are being written by Uncle Clarence Thomas. Okay? That's implosion. That's bleeding from within. The Heritage Foundation's former president was a black woman who helped to write these policies that are being implemented on a national and state level, turning back the hands of time and getting rid of civil rights for black people. A black woman hemorrhaging from within.
And you know, Counselor, and Wick, I have to say this. I'm not pleased with the Democratic Party. But in these present political times, racial climate, why is it even the discussion about not voting for the Democratic candidate who is way better than these Republican slave masters? So some discussions, I believe, wow, I understand you're an independent, and we all got the right to choose. But in this season, we see what the Republican Party is doing.
We do.
So
there's no denying that.
Choice?
There's no denying that the Republican Party under MAGA, under Trump, is targeting black people, hunting us down, and destroying our quality of life. There is no denying that, okay? The question is, I think, that's being posed on this radio show is, are the Democrats helping us or hurting us? And is being an independent a more popular option for black people? But to me, we seem to be fractured. Going back to Ms. Audrey's comment, we seem to be broken. The black community seems to be getting a divorce from itself. Are we imploding? That is the question that we are asking ourselves right now. I mean, because when you look around, it feels like we're under pressure from without and from within. It feels like we're divided politically, economically, educationally, psychologically, spiritually. We're watching ourselves turn on each other, and we're losing black leadership as a result.
And we can go back to this recent mayor's race. And it's not about the current mayor. It's more about the lack of togetherness from the three black P's: black politicians, black preachers, and black people. We got to get it together. And how can we be a city that talks about the culture, and we didn't seemingly have forgotten how much voting is a part of our culture and helped our culture? God help us. You have a great weekend.
You too. You too. And look, I think this whole conversation has put a lot on our minds, and it's really made us all kind of dig in deep and self-examine and do a check on how are we doing right now? How are we doing psychologically, emotionally? How are we making it?
We's tired, boss.
We's tired. Black racial fatigue. That's what I'm talking about today. It's racial fatigue.
I got to close the mic because Donna told me to get off the air.
We're going to take a break right here. WBOK 504-582-9422. That's the number. We'll be back in a minute.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. As BET's co-founder, Sheila Johnson has a ton of experience in media, but a lot's changed since she first got the black-focused entertainment cable network off the ground. Johnson spoke to Bloomberg about the state of media and what black audiences might be seeking out now.
I just think that the landscape and the racial landscape of what African Americans are watching is changing. And I just think that we have got such a broad perspective of people out there that want something different, especially this younger generation. So we need to reevaluate what are the goals of black media and what are the answers? What is it out there that we need to answer?
According to Nielsen, just over 50% of black viewers feel there isn't enough content on TV from people of their identity group. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's has the brands pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Liberty Mutual customized this song for you. Like your car insurance, it's custom too, yeah. Liberty Mutual's got the coverage that could save you money. Thanks to Doug and Limu, well now you can go and take that cruise. Liberty, 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 yeah.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Louisiana has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world when adjusted per capita, not to mention its dubious distinction of locking up a higher percentage of its residents than any other state in the entire country. As if not satisfied with that sorry record of infamy, here comes Governor Jeff Landry, our lord of lock 'em up and throw away the key, with a $798 million corrections budget proposal to add even more beds at the state penitentiaries to imprison even more residents. Now that's an $82 million increase for the correction budget, while at the same time slicing the education budget by $165 million. This makes as much sense as tits on a chicken. Critics opine that it would make far more sense to use that revenue on education and mental health programs. Moreover, it would be less expensive. Here's the breakdown on that. It's costing about $23,000 to $30,000 a year in Louisiana to incarcerate someone, compared to roughly $15,000 a year to educate a student K through 12. Sadly, state taxpayers are spending around $10,000 to $15,000 more a year to keep someone locked up than they spend on a child's public education. And ironically, it's the governor who's adding to prison overcrowding via his harsh so-called prison reform policies. The number of prisoners paroled during Landry's tenure has declined to its lowest in 20 years. Critics say it's because parole decisions are not made by the parole board anymore, but are being made according to computerized algorithms. You know, there's an old saying about programming computers: garbage in, garbage out. My message to the governor and his supermajority conservative GOP allies in the legislature is stop treating people like garbage, damn it. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS Pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto Analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
This is Jade and Simone, host of Uncomfortable Situations.
Join us on May 9th every Saturday. Tune in from 5 to 6 for conversations.
Well, Saints of God, this is Pastor David Impartan, Senior, coming to you.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Change your mind. We want to invite you to our show every Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Here we go. The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Friday. This is WBOK 1230 AM. And boy, are we having a reality check today as we check our temperature. How we doing? How we surviving in the current state we find ourselves in? Let's go to Don on line 1. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing, Counselor?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
McNaris. Yes, ma'am. What is your expertise? What's your are you into patents and trademarks and things of that nature? Do you know anyone in that arena of patent law?
I'm a civil and criminal trial attorney. We do a lot of personal injury at our firm, but we also represent a lot of businesses. We do business litigation. We handle wrongful death cases. We do class action litigation. We handle high-profile criminal matters. We're trial lawyers. We spend a lot of time in the courtroom representing people. And I like to think that one of the things we do best is represent people who often are unseen, unheard, and disrespected.
Right. So in that business litigation practice, there's no aspect of patent law.
No, sir. No, sir. But I can, if you message me or give your number to Wick, I can get you a patent attorney who I know does just that, and does it very well. So I can help. I can refer you to somebody who does do that.
No, I was speaking in a general sense.
It's a specialized. It's a
hope that
specialized
people.
field. It's a very specialized field. And one of the things I think people need to ask lawyers when they're looking for a lawyer is how much of a certain field do you practice? Because what you don't want is you don't want to call a plumber to fix an electrical issue in your house. People need to stay in their wheelhouse. And patent law is just something that we don't do, patent and trademark. But I can refer you to someone who specializes in that field.
Thank you. Well, I was just wanted to share, here the show, the hot show this evening. I wish Dr. Victor Sims was on with you. Take care of your spiritual and mental health.
Absolutely.
It's very critical.
I think that's something so important for all of us to remember right now. And I know there are things that I do to decompress. When I get off from work, I don't want to hear about a legal issue. I am, really into self-care once I get off, because I have to be. In order to be able to bounce back the next day and do the things that I do, self-care has to be a priority. And I think right now, in these trying times that we're living in, we all need to find some type of outlet for self-care.
Right. Like watching the movie and the TV series Soul Food.
Yeah. Look, whatever it is that works for you.
To watch and just let it all go and enjoy our theatric performers bring some insight and some entertainment value to our lives. I love movies and things of that nature, but I hear people say, well, I was discriminated against and I'm the only black in this particular field, and
not by choice. Let me say that in that class action arena, I wish there were more lawyers who looked like me in that space. It's just a very highly competitive field that they're very good at gatekeeping and have not had a lot of lawyers, black lawyers, to step into. I'm seeing a few more now, but to say that I'm 34 years into this and there's only about 3 other lawyers in this state that are black that do what I do is not enough.
Okay. So what you doing? Who's in your camp for understudy? How many people you have in your
here's the issue.
Camp getting into this field?
Here's the issue. It's a judicial decision. So anybody can't just be a class action attorney. A court has to appoint you to serve on a plaintiff steering committee. And they select attorneys to be on a plaintiff steering committee based upon experience in handling prior class action litigation and their financial wherewithal to be able to push that case. So it's based upon your resume, it's based upon your financial circumstances, and unfortunately, there aren't a lot of black attorneys who have experience in the field and who have the financial wherewithal to serve on these plaintiff steering committees. And it's by virtue of that they're gatekeeped out of it. I'm hoping that, judges will reconsider that criteria and that the legislature actually changes Article 591 to no longer make prior experience or financial wherewithal criterias for participating in class action litigation, because just the criteria itself bars people from participation. So I've been talking about that for 10, 15 years now, that the criteria has to change to be able to open the door for somebody else to be able to step into this field. So it's not that I don't want to be the only one at the table. And believe me, I'm happy to give up that high pressure spot. I just need someone else to be able to do it and to come into it and truly do the work.
Was there someone there out of the community there in that arena, that class action field before you?
Actually,
how did you learn about it? How did you get into it?
Actually, no. Actually, I was the first black woman in the state of Louisiana to be appointed to a plaintiff steering committee. And no, I did not have a black female or black male mentor because there were none. Now,
Did you marry one?
Not one. So I can tell you, I got into it because I happened to fall into a class action when I was still a law student because my mother-in-law ended up living on a toxic waste dump, and that's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, it was very difficult for me to break down the door to get my feet into that field. But since then, it's been very difficult to open the door for somebody to come behind me too. So hopefully that will change. I'm trying to get more young people to come on these cases and work with me so they can get the experience so that the next time when there is an opportunity, they can apply and they maybe can get appointed. And I've been sharing with them creative ways for them to get the funding to be able to participate. I do CLEs all over the country talking about this because I don't want to gatekeep this. I do want somebody else to have the opportunity. But as of now, there just aren't many people who do this. The other attorneys who do what I do who are black are James Williams and Tony Clayton. Period. There's 3 of us.
All right. 3 the hard way. Let's do that. I'm going to say this. I heard people say, I'm an independent politically, like, okay, the Democrats haven't done nothing that you benefited from, or the Republicans haven't done nothing that you historically. And when we talk about here, people say they're the only one in their specific field. Technology is usually the number one area. I would hope people will remember when I mentioned patent laws and trademarks, the great black inventors in this country. Do you know in the 1870, the year 1870, the 15th Amendment was ratified. And then President Ulysses S. Grant, who was a Republican, hero of the Civil War, signed the U.S. Patent Act. And you know what else happened starting in around 1870? It was called the Golden Age of the Industrial Revolution, the greatest time in world history that's recorded of great inventions and innovation. Okay? So and also during that time, black Americans, men and women, had legal ownership to over 50,000 patents. That was only exceeded by England and Germany. And that's only because blacks couldn't get patents legally before 1870. You got blacks who, like Thomas Lewis, who invented the harpoon back in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And I mean, it goes on and on. The Africans who brought their history of rice, producing rice. And so what I'm saying is, a lot of times people say, well, they don't let us in this field. And many of these black inventors, Lewis Latimer, the real McCoy, Elijah McCoy, who had over 50 patents, many of them wasn't formally educated. Now, Norbert Rillier from New Orleans, who designed the apparatus that refined sugarcane to white sugar, he was educated in France, but he's from New Orleans. That's where black people had to go back to or go overseas to get educated formally. But so what I'm saying is, I hear people say the Republicans didn't do anything for us, the Democrats didn't do anything for us. I'm independent. Independent of what? You ain't inventing nothing. You don't know the people who invented. Those were the real independent people, because it didn't matter that you had Jim Crow laws, okay, during that time period. You still had Dr. George Washington Carver in Alabama, who was educated formerly in the state of Iowa at Iowa State, who was in Alabama with over 300 discoveries for the sweet potato and the peanut, and he kept 3 patents for himself, but he didn't patent the other several hundred patents he had. And that's why you have companies like Mars and Mars. You ever heard of Mars and Mars? And Hershey's, all these big multi-international conglomerates who made fortunes off the peanut with candy bars. So we are talking about separating ourselves from ourselves when we talk about this country and what we contributed continuously.
Thank you, Don. Thanks for that point. We're going to take a break right here. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
A Washington federal judge has handed the Trump administration a temporary win in its push to reshape how Americans cast their ballots. The ruling allows the White House to move forward, at least for now, with plans to build a centralized list of eligible voters and restrict where mail ballots can be sent. The judge's reasoning was straightforward. Since the policy hasn't been put into action, there's nothing concrete enough to stop. But civil rights organizations say they'll return to the court the moment officials begin putting these plans into motion. The controversy traces back to the president's long-standing claim that voting by mail invites fraud, assertions he's made repeatedly since losing the 2020 race. Independent reviews and state-level investigations, including those conducted under Republican leadership, have consistently found those claims do not hold up. Election administrators across the country have warned that a federally controlled voter list would introduce new errors and confusion. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org, heart of the city.
Greetings and salutations. I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
I'm Wendell Pierce. Thanks for making WBOK your station. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Some conversations are longer than others.
You okay?
I'm okay. Oh, you good? I'm good. Let's go to Mr. Coleman on line 2. Mr. Coleman.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Are you suffering from black fatigue?
Repeat.
Are you suffering from black fatigue?
Oh, yes, indeed. Look, let me start saying thanks for taking my call, and I know we're short on time. But I'm gonna lay my foundation. I'm 79 years and a half, so grew up in New Orleans, so I'm familiar with us. We are not black enough, and I'm also followed up by saying enough black enough people do not listen to WBOK. I'm going to further make my case. Basically, our two black holidays, Juneteenth and the late Dr. Martin Luther King Day, are not celebrated by us. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to follow up with more information. Majority of black people in this city do not own one African dashiki. Some are afraid for white folks to see them supporting our cause. And the other point I'm going to make, with all the eating we do in this city, we do not own one black supermarket, and we are still, I'm going to use the word, bound by the color issue, light versus dark. And one solution that we're working on, talking about it more so we could get away from the ideologies that we've been held down with. Don't trust your brother, trust the white man. And a doctor wrote a book when I think she said, my white coat disappears. She walked into the waiting room of the clinic and says, who next? Everybody looked the other way, black, brown, and white. And the other part I'm going to lay, how many of black people has black accountants, black attorneys, black doctors? We are so prejudiced against ourselves, and all our professions are taught by the same people. The white folks' sugar still sweeter. The ice is still colder. The indoctrination, it runs too deep today. I'm talking about with educated people. We put our nickels and dimes together to make dollars, to own stuff. Our ancestors built cities with pennies. We have people in millions of dollars can't come together to build black communities so that we could have more pride. I tried when I go to school because I was selected Ron Eagle of the Year for the 2025 to tell the kids they're descendants from king, queen, prince, and princess. Y'all have value. You are value. But they've been beat down so long, they just don't believe enough of it, and we still dying on corners that we don't own. So that's my foundation that I'm laying on, that people got to work on how we get better as a race of people.
You are really driving the point home. We are dying on corners that we do not own. You're so right. I mean, we are watching attacks on Black history. We're watching them try to erase Black history. They're getting rid of books, Black books. They're getting rid of Black authors. They're getting rid of Black artifacts. They're getting rid of anything that tells the history of slavery and us overcoming it. They're doing rollbacks on equity programs. They're trying to get rid of anything DEI, declining trust in Black institutions, increasing division online. You're right. Colorism, class division, gender wars. We've heard that on the radio today. Hyper individualism, people tearing down each other in public, climbing a ladder at your brother's expense. Everything you said is very true. I mean,
and two other points I want to make. When we talk about crabs in the barrel, that's us. When one try to rise up, the other ones grab and pull down. That's a crab culture. There should not be a Black people culture. And another point I'm going to make, for the last 65 years in elections, the white folk put 3 Blacks in a race, 1 white. We divide up our vote, the white win on the first ballot. We saw that happen with the mayor's race. It's disturbing that I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, it's very disturbing.
We have not rose up in the political arena. The late Dutch Morial addressed that issue, and he was one of, I'm going to use the word, the fathers of getting judges and councilmen elected by letting these political groups know, let us support one candidate each time. And that's how we started evolving as having Black elected officials. And that's it.
I think we're at a very pivotal point in time where we need to make a decision. Are we going to implode by not sticking together, or are we going to stick together and witness a people in transition? Right now, we seem to be a people wrestling with identity, belonging, failures in leadership, economic insecurity. We're all carrying this historical trauma with us, and the psychological weight of surviving in America as Black Americans. A lot of us, as we've heard on the radio today, have unresolved trauma that's eventually showing up on us. So I guess we need to ask, are we going to implode by continuing to be divided? Or are we going to stop right here and figure out what our Black agenda is? Can we come up with a Black agenda as a people? And what is that going to be so that we can move forward and show up in America like the kings and queens we are?
My suggestion would be we have to start small and grow, because if we become too entangled, we're not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to share this event with you. Many years ago, some Black leaders came together to organize a Black supermarket in Gentilly. They had put up some of the money, and there was a meeting to come up with what we're going to name the store.
Hold on right there, Coleman. I got to come right back.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm being told that's the end of the show. So call me back on Monday, Coleman. We'll talk about it again. Look, I think we need a Black American reset. We need to start building together. Y'all have a good weekend. I'll see y'all on Monday. Thanks for tuning in.